A man is kissing his lover when his wife calls. She then looks for him and asks where he was. When she finds him, she tells him that she had a big surprise for him. He asks if something had happened and she says he would be a father. He is then surprised and she says it was the truth. He then asks how that happened and the woman asks if he wasn't happy. The lover then excuses them both and congratulates the man. He then says he was so happy and asks her what she thought about letting her whole family know. The woman says she will notify her parents. Later, the mistress is taking out the garbage and the man runs after her. He asks what was going on with her and that it wasn't his fault. The lover then says that she was mad at him. She says that now she could see that she was just a diversion for the man. At that moment, the woman begins to listen to their conversation. The mistress then goes on to say that the man had said that he was going to leave his wife and that he had promised that he would take her out of this job life and that she would no longer need to work in her life. She then says that he was just like everyone else, a liar. The man then tells her that he didn't know his wife could get pregnant, but the mistress says that now it was too late. He then tells her not to think that way. He says that for him, nothing had changed between the two. He still wanted her to marry him and inherit everything that was his. He tells her to think that it was just a small problem that the two of them had to face together. She then asks how they were going to do that. He then smiles and says that she was already changing her mind and asks her to smile at him. He then kisses her and tells her that he was going to dump his woman and that everything that was his was hers. The man then enters his house and calls for his wife. He starts to tell her to come soon because she had hurt herself badly. He then proceeds to wind fishing line around a vase as he asks his wife to call an ambulance. The woman then asks what had happened to him and goes to him to see what it was. He then lays down on the ground and continues asking for his wife's help. She starts looking for him and asks where he was. She gets to where the man was, but she didn't see the thread he had put there. She then trips over the wire and ends up falling and hitting her head on the sink. The man, seeing that, soon starts to arrange everything so that no one knows what happened there. He then starts calling for the woman, but at that moment the lover arrives and sees her lying on the floor. The lover asks what had happened there and the man tells her to see if the woman was still breathing. She then starts laughing, but the woman soon wakes up and is desperate for her child. The man says he would call an ambulance to help her. The mistress then says that she would help her. The man then takes out his phone and calls 911. He says he needed help and gives them the address. Sometime later, the mistress enters the woman's room and says that she had brought her breakfast. The woman then tells her to come in. She then hands it to the woman and asks how her son is doing. She says that her son was fine and that she was the only one who got hurt. The lover then asks the woman for permission and leaves the room. The woman then thanks her, but she throws the food on the floor. Seeing that, the lover is surprised, but she smiles and pretends that everything was fine. The woman says she was very clumsy and tells her mistress to bring her another one. She then says she would bring another one and bends down to pick up the one that was lying on the floor. At that moment, the woman also throws the plate on the floor and says it was accidentally done. The mistress then takes the plate and leaves. Later, the mistress was cleaning the house when the man comes up from behind and tries to kiss her. She says she was full of it. He says he already told her that he didn't care about that woman and that when she left, they would have the whole house to themselves. She then says no, and that as long as the woman was there, they would have nothing else. He then asks her to understand that the woman was just a mistake of her adolescence. He says that every day he wakes up, he regrets marrying her and that she knew his dream was to marry her. He then tells her to rest assured that they would soon be together. The lover then says that if the man doesn't solve that matter, she will solve it. Later, the mistress enters the woman's room and says that she had prepared another breakfast for her. The woman then says that she wasn't hungry anymore and that she was supposed to bring her something else. She then says that she would bring something for her soon. Later, she returns with a cup of coffee. She hands it to the woman. She then says that because of her pregnancy, she doesn't like coffee anymore and asks her to bring her some juice. She says yes and leaves. The mistress then goes furious to the kitchen and says that the woman did not know who owned that house. She then says that she would see what she was going to do with her. The mistress then fills a glass with juice and puts medicine inside the juice. But what the mistress didn't know was that the woman was watching everything through the security cameras. When the mistress was arriving in the room, the woman soon hides her cell phone and takes some papers to pretend to be reading. The mistress then hands the juice to the woman. She asks if the woman didn't have chores to do and she says yes. She then tells the woman to enjoy the juice and leaves. She then goes to the very happy man and he asks what happened. She says that was their lucky day, as she had solved their problems. She says that now they could be together. The woman, seeing that through the cameras, is furious. The mistress says he couldn't have known, but if he wanted to say his last words to his wife, he had better hurry. The man is then very happy and kisses her. Later, the man enters the woman's room and starts calling for her. She does not answer. He then says that he didn't know if she was listening to him, but that he didn't care. He then says he wanted to say something to her. He says he only married her because he saw a great opportunity in it. He says that at first it wasn't that, but then she got old and flabby, so it was right that he was only with her, because she had a lot of money. He then says that he and the employee had been together for over 3 years and that the woman was not to worry, as he would enjoy her money very well. The man then starts to get a stomach ache and falls to the ground. The woman sees it, but shows no emotion. Later, a police officer arrests the mistress, but she says she had done nothing. The policeman then tells her to save those words for the judge. The woman then says that the officer had seen everything she did. She says she showed him all the camera footage. The policeman then says that she would go to the police station, but the woman says that she wanted to talk to her for a bit first. The woman then says that it was for her to understand that those who do evil end up bad. The lover then apologizes for what she did, but the woman says that she didn't apologize and that she should rethink what she had done, since now she would have enough time for that. The policeman then returns and takes her to the police station.